there's no problem on being a super expert, a super specialist, but I believe that modern dentistry deserves a first appointment, at least the first appointment, that is non-biased, that is generic, that is holistic, that is comprehensive. Because if the patient comes thinking that they need X, we as care providers, we need to see from A to Z. In 3, 2, 1, and we are back live with Coffee Break with Coachman special edition. Again, with my dear friend Kirk Behrendt, but today in Milwaukee at ACT Dental, at their headquarters, where we're going to host our DSD provider course. I'm here with Kirk, having a beer, a local beer, and we're going to talk today about the 7 steps towards ideal dentistry. Moving from traditional dentistry into ideal dentistry. How the future may look like. Let's see.
We're going to be covering the 7 steps to move from traditional to ideal dentistry. And that's what you're going to take everybody that's coming to this course on this journey, right?
Yeah, that's actually, this is a new course that I've been putting together for the last few months. And of course, it's a summary of everything that I was able to learn first as a technician, ceramist, then dentist, then consultant for companies, for clinics, then owning a big digital lab, production lab. So helping companies with R&D, product development, helping companies with marketing and sales, helping clinics on implementing all these overwhelming new ideas that we have today. And from everything that I actually was able to learn from everybody, I'm always learning from you a lot as well. I distilled all this information in this new course. And I asked myself, from all the efforts that we've been doing to help dentists move forward, what are the most important strategies that we were able to develop and to implement? And this is how we got into these 7 steps. I believe that we have a very clear vision of what modern dentistry should be or should look like. A very clear vision of how comprehensive, interdisciplinary, ideal dentistry can become, powered by technology, powered by better diagnosis and treatment planning, powered by better dentist-patient relationships, and powered by better dentist-lab relationships. By the way, also powered by the new idea of what is a modern lab, what a modern lab should be doing. And of course, I like to believe that this vision will be happening in the next few years, and 10 years from now, people will look back and say, yeah, that's the new normal. Right? Yeah. What are these 7 changes that will create this new normal in 10 years? And how to stay ahead of the curve by implementing these ideas a little bit before the mainstream people will do, right? Right. That's the idea.
Yeah, well, the idea is actually happening. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think you're changing dentistry. I know you're changing dentistry. So this is very exciting to have you here. And so take us through kind of the psychology or the steps. Where do we even start?
So very briefly, this is, we're going to deep dive into these topics in the course starting tomorrow, and then on continuing with our online education afterwards, because it's a lot of, it's a journey, right? Yeah. It's not something that you learn on a weekend. On a weekend, we need to create awareness and hopefully make people believe in it and agree with it and gain enough energy and motivation to really start the journey Monday morning and, step by step, make the move. On board the staff into these new ideas, convince partners and associates about these new ideas, convince yourself about these new ideas, and find the excitement to be able to beat the comfort zone. Yeah, and move.
Right.
And I think that moving is beautiful, makes you feel alive, and just the fact of moving towards these ideas will make you not tired of dentistry.
Yeah, because we all need that spark. You need a purpose. You need some energy.
Mm-hmm.
You need a support system.
You need a support system, but you need to really ask yourself how to find the next thing that will make you excited for the next few months and years, and constantly be feeding, nurturing this passion, this pride for your dentistry, this passion for your dentistry, and improving performance so you're even more proud of what you're doing, right? Without comparing yourself to others. It's just you with yourself, what you're going to do next month to do slightly better.
Yeah. And I bet personally you love it when you see somebody light up in a course like this.
Yes.
You can see they get excited.
Best compliment ever. And this is very cool to see that I've been getting this compliment for a few years, or for all the years that we've been talking about DSD, is when older people join our courses, and once the course is finished, they say, look, I wish I had, it's two things. They say either, I wish I had this course before, I wanted to be here 10 years ago. Or another situation that is common is like, I was about to retire. And after this, I want to work for 10 more years.
I love it.
That's the best compliment ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's go into that.
Yep.
So how do you make this happen?
So 7 steps to move towards ideal dentistry. So from traditional dentistry to ideal dentistry. Of course, that calling it ideal dentistry is very pretentious, right? Because it's a big word, ideal, right? But I'm using ideal because I like the word ideal, because first, I know I will never become ideal. We are never perfect.
Right.
So it's the light at the end of the tunnel is something that you want to always be moving towards, even though you're never going to be perfect, you're never going to be ideal, but it makes us move. I want to be closer to ideal, and I'm pretty sure that every good dentist with good intentions, every great clinician, ethical clinician, it doesn't matter how good you are, when you look at what you do, if you're humble enough to make this auto-analysis, you will obviously conclude that there's always things to be better, and there's something more ideal ahead of us. And so steps towards, I call it the 7 steps towards, because it's the movement. The beauty doesn't come from achieving the result, but the beauty comes from constantly being in the movement, in the move, right? And evolving and enjoying the journey. So briefly, the seven topics that I was able to find as the most important, disruptive, life-changing topics that will create modern dentistry, the new dentistry, right? First one is to move from a biased mindset, a superficial, partial mindset, and a superficial, partial data acquisition.
Ooh, tell me more.
Okay. So I strongly believe that it doesn't matter how good the dentist is, we are biased towards what we like to do the most.
Right.
And usually first appointments are completely biased towards our specialty, right? That's why dentists that are very good with veneers, all they do is veneers. And on the first appointment, all they diagnose is usually veneers, Other dentists, they love aligners, and all they do is aligners. All on 4, all on X practices, they try to fit all the patients into that box, and all they do is all on X cases, right? If you are an occlusion expert, you only see the occlusion, and so there's no problem on being a super expert, a super specialist, but I believe that modern dentistry deserves a first appointment, at least the first appointment, that is non-biased, that is generic, that is holistic, that is comprehensive, Because if the patient comes thinking that they need X, we as care providers, we need to see from A to Z. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Treatment plans can be different, but the diagnosis needs to be the same and needs to be similar at least, and needs to be complete.
Right.
Modern human beings deserve that. So I believe in a completely transformation of the first appointment, executed by super generalists, the ones that see the big picture.
Go back to that. I love that. What is a super generalist?
Super generalist is a professional that understands the minimum amount of everything that dentistry needs to know that impacts a human being from the physical, mental, and even spiritual perspective.
Right.
So it's understanding how to connect the dots. It's looking beyond the mouth.
Yeah.
It's understanding the connection between the bite and the posture, the arch form and the airway, the mouth and the body, and everything else. And we are so much at the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
And this journey is beautiful. So first step towards ideal dentistry is moving from this biased, superficial, and partial mindset and data acquisition into a holistic, systemic mindset and data acquisition.
I love it. You're already stressing me out. Because as you get older, is it hard to adapt to new information, you think, or not?
I have many people, older people, coming to our courses and with a lot of experience and getting super excited about reinventing themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't think the age is much more related to the ego than the age. And I see that very, very fast.
Okay, you have to explain that because that's really good.
If we could measure if we had an instrument and equipment that could measure people's ego level, that would be amazing, right?
Right, and they would be completely unaware of their score.
Yeah. So, but with experience, you start to see, in a few minutes conversation, and you see the openness. It's the beautiful beginner's mind philosophy, right? And you see somebody that is extremely successful, already a senior professional, extremely successful, but still humble, open, with the beginner's mind. And when you see, many times I see younger people that think they know everything, very closed to new ideas, and they think they got it.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Very well said. What's the second step?
So second step is to move from fragmented disciplinary software and fragmented disciplinary thinking into integrated interdisciplinary software and integrated interdisciplinary thinking.
Right.
Means that in dentistry, softwares were not developed to help us treatment plan from an interdisciplinary perspective. So softwares are all fragmented. They don't have the tools to allow us to actually use them before we know what to do.
Right.
It's interesting. Software in dentistry was developed to be used after the dentists already know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I know exactly that my patient needs 6 veneers. Okay, I'm going to use the software to manufacture the 6 veneers. I know exactly that my patient needs ortho, so I'm going to use the software to manufacture my aligner. I know exactly that my patient needs 2 implants exactly on this position. Okay, I'm going to use the software to do the guides and the restorations of the implant on that position. The problem is that planning the execution is much easier than planning what my patient actually needs. When a new patient comes and we have no clue what the patient needs,
Right.
And interdisciplinary dentistry is multifactorial, and every specialty impacts the other. And as we move one side, you change everything else. So it's very complex. It's very difficult to diagnose and treatment plan properly. That's why we see many more great clinicians that we see great diagnosticians.
Right.
So if diagnosing properly is the most difficult part of dentistry, we need technology that helps us on the most difficult part of dentistry.
Right.
And it's funny because 99% of everything that was developed is focused on the execution and not on the diagnostics and planning.
Yeah.
So to move into the future, we need to push the industry to develop integrated interdisciplinary software. And of course, that won't do the magic if we don't have integrated interdisciplinary thinking as well.
And that's a difficult movement in itself, don't you think?
It's
not for you, but for the industry as well.
because our education is also fragmented,
right?
And we learn to value the specialist,
right,
and the super specialist, and then you specialize more and more and more and more, and the industry rewards the super specialist. So we need to start rewarding the super generalist. The super generalist is a dentist that is above all super specialists. It's like a new specialty.
Tell me more.
That needs to be above everybody. It's the profession that will perform the first appointments.
Yeah.
It's that super good old school family physician, that when you were not feeling good and you didn't have a clue about what you had, you would go to this person, and ideal medicine should always start from this generalist.
Right.
That sees you as a whole, that understands everything, right? That will be able to raise the yellow flags and then, when necessary, activate the specialists. In many countries where public health actually works a little bit better, even though you think you have a problem on your knee and you want to solve the problem on your knee, they don't allow you to go to a knee specialist. You have to first book with the generalist.
Right.
And the role of this physician is to actually look at everything first, try to find connections with other problems, not allow us to miss the opportunity to see the whole. And then if the only problem is the knee, and there's no major connection with other problems, then they activate the knee specialist to actually take care of that. So it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Because in dentistry, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So modern interdisciplinary clinics will become these little mini hospitals with super generalists and then the specialists below them. And then below the specialists, you're going to have the general practitioners doing simple stuff. So GPs, simple stuff, specialists on top, and the super generalists on top of everybody.
Yeah, very well said. What's number 3?
Number 3 is that we need to empower visualization, meaning makes no sense to not use images to understand a problem and create a solution. And in dentistry, we make too many decisions without exploring visualization. We don't test drive our crazy ideas. And we don't leverage 3D software to simulate our ideas. And we don't and the worst part, we don't communicate among the team with images. We try to explain problems with words. We try to create solutions with words. And it makes absolutely no sense with all the 3D technology that we have and the technology to acquire visual information that we have today.
Now I have to ask you, because that's fascinating. I mean, this is not new. But everyone would agree the image utilization is pretty low. Why?
It's crazy.
Why?
It makes no sense because we have phones now. That's why I always make fun of I always mention the iPhone on my course. I say, look, the last 20 years, the most impactful piece of technology in dentistry was the iPhone, more than anything else.
Right.
Why? Because the smartphone allowed us to create visual content and to share and communicate based on the visual content at any second.
Right.
It means that the whole world is connected through visual communication. If you have an issue and you think that people that were not there with you may help you with that issue, you can create the images to explain the issue. And you can share that, and in a few minutes, few hours, or maybe a few days, you're going to have amazing feedback. much higher quality feedback because people will understand better the problem because of the visualization.
Right.
So we need to learn how to transform our phones into the third eye of the other people that we want to help us.
I love it. Love it.
So from analog visualization to 3D digital visualization, and on top of that, powered by AI. So that's definitely the third movement.
Yeah, and I can't even keep up with the advancements in technology. You know, I thought I had the most recent phone, but I don't. I'm still one version behind.
Yeah, you don't need to. That's I'm never the one grabbing changing to the new version among the first ones to change, right?
Right.
I prefer to allow others to suffer with the new versions, and once everybody's saying, "No, it's working better than the previous," then I go in.
Then you go. Yeah. Well, give us step number 4.
Step number 4 is to move from step number 4 of moving from traditional dentistry into ideal dentistry is to move from individualistic and empiric decision making to collaborative and structured communication and decision making. So it means that in dentistry still today, because we don't learn communication systems and we don't implement them efficiently, we still do old school communication with people, meaning having a coffee and talking to somebody, or even scheduling a Zoom call. These are all ways that are not efficient, or on the phone, or waiting until you meet the person to discuss a case. And because of all of that, too many decisions are made alone in dentistry. So we don't leverage collective intelligence. So basically, number 4 is leveraging collective intelligence. Collaborative and structured. Word structured because it cannot be casual. It cannot be unprofessional. It cannot be once in a while. It cannot be something that sometimes you do it for some patients. No, it's something that needs to be for every single patient every time.
The last time you were in this room, a light bulb went on and you presented the value for asynchronous communication. And I was like, that's my whole life. Mm-hmm. People always say, can we set up a call? Can I talk to you? And I'm like, I have no time. Mm-hmm. Can you explain the value of asynchronous?
So number 3 was visual, right? So the most powerful strategy to make better decisions for your patient is to use visual and asynchronous communication systems that are professionally developed and implemented in a structured way, so you can do it every single moment, every single minute of your life, right? You're always leveraging visual asynchronous communication. So it needs to be a system that is almost like an auto mode happening for you, right? It means that asynchronous means that you can talk to a group of people without having to be in the same place, neither available at the same time. And that's the solution for our busy life. You cannot rely on synchronous communication.
Right.
If you think about, if a dentist stops and think, how do I make decisions every day on every little situation where I need to make a decision for my patient, you're going to see that 99.9% of the times is either a lonely decision or is a synchronous decision that only happens in very few moments in a month.
Right.
So if you have 25 new patients per month, let's say, it's impossible for you to do the ideal for 25 patients, 25 times for all the new patients.
Right. So let's go to a scenario. You're in Madrid, I'm in Milwaukee, we're 6 hours apart. When I send you a case, it's hard enough for us to communicate regularly. Mm-hmm. That your lab technicians can look at this when it's 1 o'clock in the morning for me. Yeah. I might wake up at 4.
You have the answer ready.
Yeah.
And when you communicate asynchronously, means through text or voice message, always followed by images, videos, or links to 3D software where you can open the case, but above all with finger drawings. You need to master finger drawings, drawing over pictures.
You have to explain that because I saw you do it.
It's actually very simple, right? You're putting a crown, you're trying a crown in the mouth, and the contact point is too weak because there's a concavity that you don't like, that the lab is repeating this mistake all the time. And the best way is to do what? Is to take the picture in the mouth with your phone as you're placing the crown from the right angle. Maybe it's a 1 or 2, 3 pictures from different angles. Maybe it's in the model. Maybe it's a video of you talking to the video, and your assistant is filming you putting or passing the floss.
Yeah.
You're filming with your phone, passing the floss on the contact, proving that it's too soft, that has a concavity there. And then you take that video or that photo, you pause that, you find that perfect moment on the video, you zoom in, you do a print screen. So videos, print screens, and then you open the print screen and you draw with your finger.
Yeah.
This is the concavity in green, and then you change the color to pink, and this is where I want to be with a convexity in this area. Please never do this mistake again.
Yeah.
And it took you 10 seconds. You press send, it goes to the other side of the world or any corner of the world. And the technician, whenever the other person is ready to learn, meaning quality time, you watch, you learn, and you fix the problem.
Yeah.
And visually, we know that not only you fix that problem, but you memorize, you learn, and you don't repeat that problem afterwards, the mistake.
Yeah.
So visual communication, it makes no sense to communicate dentistry without visuals. It's like giving a dental lecture without slides.
Right.
And we need to use that for everyday patient team communication, treatment planning, diagnosis, lab communication.
Yeah.
It becomes a routine.
Now think about this. I don't need to go to my office and do this. I could actually, while I order my pasta at the Italian restaurant tonight, I can do a few drawings right here and send it to you.
Yeah. No, with these integrated software, 3D visualization, and collaborative structured asynchronous communication, you can treatment plan 100 times better, 100 times more cases per month.
Yeah. Love it.
So
Love it.
That's 4.
So give us number 5.
Now you're ready to execute, right? So you made all the great decisions. The patient, you're going to start the treatment. And the 5th big movement from traditional dentistry to ideal dentistry is to move from non-guided, inefficient clinical execution to standardized, efficient, guided clinical execution. So it's basically guided dentistry. I believe that in the near future, very few procedures in dentistry will be hand-free.
Right.
Because it makes total sense to use guides. Nowadays it's so easy to simulate what you want on the software and design a guide in the software and print chairside the guide that will help your instrument, your hands, to follow the plan. It's very simple. Modern dentistry needs to follow the plan. We cannot have this discrepancy anymore between a diagnostic wax-up and an outcome of a treatment that are usually completely different.
Right.
We need to bring them close together. So we need to use everything we can to guide our hands to respect the plan. Modern dentistry respects the plan. So if you simulate a crown lengthening on the software, you want an outcome in the mouth that is similar to that. If you change the vertical dimension on the software and you define that that's the ideal vertical, you want to bring that same vertical into the mouth and
right.
everything. So we need to get used to guides. We need to have a chairside printer. We need to work with the lab that not only knows how to do restorations, but knows how to design guides.
Right.
For everything we do.
And talk about collective intelligence with guides. I mean, you're doing this all the time with excellent clinicians.
Guided dentistry, many dentists still say, guided dentistry is for the beginners.
Right.
And that's not very smart to say, because it doesn't matter how good you are. When you use guides first, is that you respect the plan. And respecting the plan is a great story for the patient.
Right.
One of the main reasons why I believe guided dentistry will have to become the future is because I believe that patients, when they learn about it, that's all they want.
Right.
It's almost like if I'm a patient and I learn the advantages of guided dentistry, I will only go to a dentist that does that. I don't want to take risks. Is my mouth, is my gum, is my bone. I don't want this dentist, even though this dentist is saying that he's great and he has amazing hands. It's my gum.
Right.
Don't cut my gum without a guide.
Yeah.
No risk. So it's pretty obvious. By the way, I think that all these movements are pretty obvious. When I talk to business people, when I talk to very smart business people, engineers, entrepreneurs, architects, people, CEOs, and I talk about these ideas to them, it takes them 5 seconds to say that this is obvious.
Right.
And that's a big sign. These are people that are used to thriving for excellence, predictability, consistency, high performance, patient satisfaction, client satisfaction, and so on, marketing, telling great stories, differentiating yourself, and all these ideas, they check all these boxes.
Right.
And so, of course, that we dentists inside dentistry, we are so used to doing things the way we always did that we fight against all these ideas. But if you pretend for a minute that you're not a dentist and you look at these ideas from outside, you say, this sounds pretty obvious.
Right.
And if it sounds pretty obvious, it's probably going to happen.
Right.
Sooner or later. And if it's going to happen sooner or later, why not be among the beginners there that are ahead of the curve?
Right.
To take advantage of the first mover advantage, right?
Yeah.
And tell a better story to your patients. So number 5 is moving into efficient, guided execution, much better chairside time, much better patient experience, and outcomes more similar than the plan.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We all want high levels of predictability. What's number 6?
So number 6 is finding a real digital lab, or labs becoming the new version of a lab, the version that we call this modern lab, that is basically a lab that becomes a planning center as well, a lab that will have not only the expertise to manufacture restorations, but it's a lab that will help dentists at the beginning of the journey.
Right.
First appointment, second appointment, diagnosis, treatment planning, and selling. The 3 key words that we talk: diagnose, plan, and sell. If you want to grow in dentistry, master, diagnose, plan, and sell. Everything will follow.
Yeah.
These are the 3 magic words. And the lab should be your best partner to help you diagnose better, plan better, and sell better.
Because they can give you direct feedback. They can be honest with you.
Because of that as well, the lab has experience, because lab does volume. If you have a specific type of case that came to you that maybe you have 3 or 4 per year like that, a lab that has 1,000 clients, they have 400 of those similar cases. So smart technicians and good labs, they become curators of ideas. They become very experienced because they have volume. They say, doctor, I saw 10 or 15 cases like this last month. I believe you should do that. Right? And makes no sense for dentists not to leverage that at the beginning of the process. Diagnose, plan, and sell. Lab can be your best partner to increase case acceptance. It makes no sense for labs not to help dentists increase case acceptance. How? Helping dentists translate their ideas into images, into visuals, into presentations, into reports, so you can present them better to your patient.
Yeah.
Labs will help you with diagnostics and treatment planning because they have all the softwares. They can simulate the scenarios. They can give you comparisons. Labs will start hiring treatment planners, dentists, treatment planners, and they will become treatment planning centers. That is, for me, the future. So you need to find one like that.
Yeah, and they're not easy to find.
No, so you can come work with us.
There you go. There you go. Give us number 7.
And number 7 is ethical patient onboarding. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6 are under control. Of course, that you need the patients. So number 7 is how to move from weak educational tools and weak educational skills, poor communication, you know, to become a great spokesperson of yourself, a great spokesperson of your treatment plan. How do you defend your treatment plan? The same way a lawyer defends their customer in court, right? Defending all the points, you know, in a way that you win the case.
Right.
You know? How can you explain your treatment plan in a way that is beautiful, that is exciting, that is emotional? How can you leverage visual communication and storytelling when presenting a treatment plan?
Right.
So there's so much to explore. And of course that this is the key for financial growth in a practice. Of course, that 1 to 6 needs to be under control first, because if you are a great persuader with low quality dentistry, you know, it's not ethical.
Right.
So you want to control 1 to 6, but then you deserve the right to use your communication skills and use technology and visual communication to onboard the patient. So we call it ethical patient onboarding.
Yeah. So tomorrow you're going to start these dentists on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not going to get all this done. We're just going to open up the conversation and start the process. If I'm a dentist sitting in the room, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
How do you support people beyond tomorrow?
So we have a very good, strong online education platform with specific certifications and paths that doctors can take afterwards to start moving step by step. But the best way to really learn all of this is to do cases following these principles, right? So that's why we became a planning center and a lab, because after the course, this course actually gives you the right to use our planning center and our lab.
Right.
And it's one case after the other, interacting and learning case by case, transforming every case into a beautiful study club, into a beautiful learning lesson, and case by case incorporating these ideas. And usually, you know, in 1 year, 2 years, it becomes a routine.
Yeah. I love it. This is a great framework. I want you to talk about where I can start if I'm listening to this podcast and DSD. But before we do, give us some final thoughts on this framework.
Look, all of these ideas, I strongly believe, will become part of our dentistry in a few years. But they are all only possible if you have a great team. So I said the 7 steps towards ideal dentistry, but there is an 8th step, and that is leadership.
Yeah.
It only happens through leadership, because modern dentistry is a team sport. Ideal dentistry is a team sport, and great teams, you need to build your dream team. And a dream team always has a great captain,
right?
A great leader. So you need to ask yourself, are you willing to invest the energy to become a great leader? Or do you prefer to join a team that already has a great leader? One of the two.
Yeah. I'm totally picking up what you're putting down. Where do I start? Tell us what DSD does. What do I do after this? Mm-hmm. Where do I go?
So we have DSD, the main course, the entry course is the DSD provider course, the one we're going to give here. And we give it in several different cities in US and in the world. You go to digitalsmiledesign.com, our website, and you're going to find all the courses and location. But immediately before that, if you go to dsdonline.com, you can already find our online platform that has great content, and also our podcast, Coffee Break with Coachman, where I share many of these ideas.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of content there as well.
It's awesome. I'm so grateful to have you here. I know everybody that's here tomorrow and the next day are going to have a great time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my best.
Oh my gosh. I know you're going to do that. Thank you, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Great to be here.